Following the Nintendo Direct yesterday, there started to be a lot of debate about Nintendo's pricing, especially for new games, Amiibo, DLC, and I think fans are completely justified in being upset at some of these prices. I know there's going to be some staunch Nintendo defenders that have already commented how the prices should actually be higher because a lot of people just blindly defend Nintendo. But I just want to talk about my thoughts on some of these prices, starting with the Mario Galaxy games. So when the Mario Galaxy 3D All-Stars collection came out in 2020, it was $60 for 3 remastered games. And even that I thought was a little pricey because there was no remakes, there was really no new content, it was just HD versions of old Mario games. But I don't think that was anything too crazy. I think $50 would have been a fair price. But anyway, we got Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2 announced in 4K for the Switch 2, and you could either buy them digitally on their own for $40 each, which would make this whole thing $80, or you could buy the physical copy that's $70. And I think it's cool that we're getting Galaxy 2 on the Switch 2. I know a lot of people were hyped about this, but this is just not a $40 game. Even the collection is not worth $70. The only new content we have is, I guess, the Amiibo give you 1-ups or something like that. And that's something I'm going to get to the price of the Amiibo soon, because I think that's even worse than this. But anyway, these were games Nintendo was selling for $20 on the Wii and $20 on the Wii U eShop. Even now, if you just go to eBay, you could probably find these games for $15 to $20. Like, yeah, they won't be HD, but is that worth the premium that you're paying for it? If this collection was $50, I think it would totally be worth it, just because you're getting a higher quality version of games that you could probably get new for $20. So then you're just paying a little bit extra. Yeah, of course there's inflation, but I don't know how $70 justifies this. And I know someone's probably going to point to another example of another remaster costing this much from another company, and I don't think that justifies that at all. Something like the Metal Gear Solid remake costing $70 recently. A lot of people were unhappy about that, and that was a remake. That was still very similar to the original, but it was very much improved graphically and mechanically. And even with that, people were still unhappy about the $70 price tag, so it's not just exclusive to Nintendo. If you have a Wii or a Wii U and you want to play these games and you don't have them, I would say try to get those games on those systems just because you could save a decent amount of money. If you really want to get this on Switch 2 and you want to get it at launch, I'm not going to judge you for it. I think it's your choice. If you think the $70 is worth it to you, by all means. Personally, if this dropped to $50, I would definitely consider getting it. And I think it will, because this is just a premium for what is literally just a 4K remaster for games I already have. So I'd rather just use that money to get a new game. Yeah, I'd like to play Galaxy 2 again, like in 4K, but once again, if I have $70 to spend, I'd rather just get a new game with that. Alright, moving on from Mario Galaxy, I want to talk about the Amiibo prices. This, I think, is worse because I think the Galaxy games have more value. Like, I think it's probably overpriced by $20, but Amiibo are starting to get ridiculous. It's not that it's necessarily overpriced by more than Galaxy, but it's just because at least those are 2 games, and at least these other expensive games are full experiences. This is literally just a toy that you put on your Switch, and it does a minor thing for you in game. Now, I know people don't buy it for that. I know people buy it as a collectible. I have a lot that I just bought as a collectible, but most of the ones I got were either $13 or $15 because those used to be the prices of it. And it's not even just, this isn't something that we just learned in the Direct yesterday. This has been going on for a few months. But the prices of old Amiibo that were released in 2014, 2015 are going for $20 now from Nintendo. It's not like they just stopped making them and prices have just gone up due to rarity. No, like all these Amiibo cost $20 now. That's the standard price. And then there's more expensive ones like the Donkey Kong Bananza one, and there was a Smash one that was expensive, but the Donkey Kong Bananza one cost $30. There was one for Smash that cost $40. And then yesterday, the cheapest Amiibo announced yesterday was $30. There was 3 Metroid ones announced, and I think they look really nice, but 2 of them cost $30 and one cost $40. And then there was Galaxy ones, which I was even willing to pay $30 for one because I thought the Mario Galaxy, like the Mario Galaxy Star one, looked really cool. And I knew it was probably gonna be $30, so I was like, all right, like this is something that I'd be happy to get just because it's from one of my favorite games. But $40 is a really steep price for this. And then the Kirby Air Ride ones cost $50 each. I've seen some people defend it by saying it's like 2 parts because it's like Skylanders Swap Force where you have their vehicle and then you put the character in so you could swap it and there's going to be more. But that's the price of a lot of full games. A lot of full games are $50 after just a couple months. And yeah, these figures are more detailed and they're not made exclusively for just video games. They're made because collectors want them. But I just don't know how Nintendo justifies this. Even if we're just ignoring the new prices because you say they're more detailed, that they're bigger, that it's worth the extra price for it. How do you justify these old ones being $7 more when they used to be $13 and they're $20 now? I just don't know how anyone justifies that. I know some people are probably going to say it's just something you don't need, so why are you upset about the price? And it's not just being about not able to get it, because if I really wanted these, I could get them. It's just about Nintendo raising prices so much to levels that I just don't think are justifiable. Yeah, they're a business and they're going to try to get money, and that's what they should do. But it also comes to a point where they're just taking advantage. Like, you just can't tell me that these old Amiibo from 10 years ago are worth $20, just going up in price. They're not $15, they're not $16. Like, I get it's going to go up over time, but this is just greed from Nintendo. I know sometimes Nintendo gets called greedy when I actually do think their game prices are justified. Like when Bananza was revealed to be $70, a lot of people weren't happy about that. I thought that was a fair price just because that's the standard in gaming now, and that was a full AAA game. I think that was a game that was worth the price. Something like Mario Kart World being $80, I still don't think was worth it. For $50, getting it with the Switch 2, I think it was worth it. And then moving on from Amiibo to more games, Mario Tennis Fever is $70, and this is not as egregious as the Amiibo or as the Galaxy games because it's not above industry standard. It's a $70 game, which is Nintendo standard now. But I just don't know if I could spend $70 on a game like this. Like Mario's tennis games are usually fairly light on content, and they don't need to have a ton. It's just supposed to be a fun sports game. But I remember just 2 years ago, when Nintendo charged $70 for Tears of the Kingdom, they said it wouldn't be every game, it would just be certain games. And for a while it was. Like Tears of the Kingdom being $70, I don't think was crazy. It was a very well-made game. It wasn't above industry standard even in 2023. But now that's the minimum price, because there's probably going to be even more games that cost $80. And my advice to you, especially if you don't have unlimited money to spend, which most people don't, even if you make good money, it doesn't mean you should just spend it all on video games. Unless it's a game you really want, like a game you have to get at launch, just wait a couple months. Don't get it from a Target or Walmart or Amazon. Wait until you can find it on eBay used for probably half the price, because most of the games I just get on eBay for a lot less. Like Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door Remaster. It launched at $60, but if you waited a few months, you could get it for around $30 on eBay. Like good condition, you get the case, you get the game in perfect condition, and it adds up over time if you keep doing this instead of just buying every game at $70. There's like only a few games I would actually pay full price for. If Nintendo made a new 3D Mario, I would. Donkey Kong Bonanza I got at $70. If they made a new 3D Zelda, the new Resident Evil I'll get at launch just because I'm a big fan of that series. Like in the past year, I don't even know if I can name any games besides Bonanza that I got for full price. And a lot of people will say to others that they're being cheap. I've seen a lot of nasty people in comment sections and forums talking about how people who won't just happily spend $70 or $80 on a game are just cheap or broke or jobless, whatever they want to say. And frankly, I think those people are either children who have never actually had to save money or work for money, or people who are just so blindly defending Nintendo. I made a video about this a couple months ago called Parasocial Nintendo Fans or something like that. People who see Nintendo more as a friend and will just justify everything they do. And this isn't just a Nintendo issue. Other companies are charging $70 for games that should not be $70. So my argument isn't saying to just never buy these games. It's buy it at a game you personally think is worth it. If you think Tears of the Kingdom, for example, wasn't worth $70, then you should have waited to get it. If you think that Bonanza wasn't worth $70, then you should have waited to get that also. That is, unless it's just something you absolutely needed to play, like it goes beyond what you think is justified. It's just a game you need to play that much. But most games are not going to be like that. Like, yeah, the Mario Tennis game looks neat, but how many people are actually saying this is a game I need to play and I need to get it on launch day? Because I promise you it will go down in price. Whatever platform it's on, whether it's eBay or some other reseller, it's going to go down in price fairly soon after. And then there's the Donkey Kong Bonanza DLC, which is $20, and you get, I don't know if you just get DK Island and the Emerald game with it, whatever it's called. I just don't think it looks that interesting, so I'm not going to spend $20 on it. But to get the full experience, it's $90 for the game now. Like, is this really something that couldn't have been included in the game? Because I've very rarely criticized Nintendo's DLC. I think a lot of their DLC has been very fair. Like for Mario Kart 8, originally on the Wii U, you got a bunch of new tracks, new characters, and I was completely worth it for the price. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the same thing. You got even more new tracks. Breath of the Wild, you got some good gameplay. That was $25 for the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Expansion Pass, or I think it was free for a version of Nintendo Switch Online. And I don't think this is that egregious for Donkey Kong Bananza. I don't think $20 is that bad for this. I think it's a little pricier than it should be, so I'm not too upset about that. And of course for Smash, that was really when Nintendo started making DLC, where they had the DLC fighters and stages. And that's something I thought was fair, because each fighter takes so much work put into them, and I think it was something like $5 or maybe a little more for the whole pack with the stage that comes with them. So I don't think Nintendo's ever been that egregious when it comes to DLC. Obviously they've made some DLCs that probably weren't worth it, but there's much worse companies with them, and this is something I won't criticize Nintendo too much on. And to close out this video, I know a lot of people are probably already angry, saying how calling me names, calling other commenters names, defending Nintendo, and it's just because I personally have these opinions on these games. If you disagree with me, it's perfectly fine. I'm not telling you what to do with your money. I'm giving my opinions on what I'm going to do and giving some suggestions. And if you do disagree with me, please let me know in the comments. But if you can do it in a respectful way, we can have a discussion about why you think these prices are justified, or if you agree with me, let me know why. For some reason, a lot of people who defend Nintendo so strongly just get the idea that anyone who disagrees with Nintendo is their enemy, when I don't think that's the case at all. I think people are just rightfully upset about some of these price hikes for things that they don't think are justified to be this expensive. So instead of just attacking people for it, try to respectfully just say your point of view, why you think it's justified. If you truly think you're right, you should be able to explain that in a way that isn't just calling someone names or being nasty to people. But anyway, if you did enjoy this video, be sure to subscribe and like, as I'm going to have a lot more content like this coming out, talking about upcoming Nintendo games, any Nintendo controversies. And also check out my other content, because I have over 1,000 videos on this channel, so there's going to be something else you like if you like Nintendo. This has been Domain with Game Domain. Thank you for watching.